post-race, and maybe I'll just kick this off, because talking about when should athletes review their race, and that's going to be my first question. But I'm going to just suggest something first, and then I'm going to ask that question. One of the things that I see as a coach is when a race goes wrong, when they don't have a performance, an athlete is always incredibly eager to dissect it to the nth degree to find the answer, the culprit. But interestingly, when a race goes right, they tend to bypass it and be like, it's great, all right, I've got it cracked, and move on. I just think post-race reflection, in fact, reflection globally, end of the week, as we like to do as a part of our Sunday special process, arc moment, so every quarter or post-race, etc. These moments are really important, looking back of what went well, what did I not execute as well as I could have done, not in a vindictive way, but as a growth opportunity. So what I didn't do as well as I could, and then what do I learn from there? And I think we need to do this equally when things go great, so that we can build on the strengths and make sure that we understand why it went well, and equally when things didn't go well. The question is, what's the right time to do that? It's not in the beer tent afterwards, that's for sure.
For sure. I do like my athletes, when they are first done with the race, do a quick hot take, right?
Yeah.
Send me a quick hot take of, the big moments.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, you need to take some time and sit with all of the emotions, either the high highs, because you might have that high, or the low lows, right? You just need to ride that wave for a little bit and sit in those feelings. And then after a few days, maybe a week, maybe 10 days, then let's sit down and dive in to all of those aspects that you just described.
Yeah, we have a process to go through basically with our coaching. We are very lucky as a coaching group, because we effectively got trained by the head sports psychologists of British Olympic Association. Yep. So we went through a whole extensive course on that, and that was the really empowering thing of like, feel the emotions, good, bad, get through those, and not try and suppress them or repress them, and let them swim part of it, and grieve if you need to, and then reflect on that. And I think that's really powerful. I do really like the reminder there of the hot take as well, like how you're emotionally, how you're feeling on that, and going from there.
Well, you have to, like, it's inevitable. There's no way for you to shut down your immediate, like, I did well today, or like, I didn't do well today. That's going to happen. So the important thing is just to know it is going to happen. It's okay. You roll with it, but you don't do any, like I always tell athletes, someone who'll do an Ironman and have a good day or a bad day will immediately say, oh, I'm never doing that again, or I'm signing up for one right away. And it's like, hey, let's take 48 hours at least, right? Like, think about it a little bit. So ride the emotional wave, and have a call scheduled, right? So when we're working with athletes, we just say, hey, we're going to do our official, big breakdown debrief in 7 days. Put it on the calendar. And that lets you just have that endpoint to say, okay, we're marching towards that 7 days. I can do what I need to do and ride the roller coaster, as we say, and then dig in after.
That's key. That giving the athlete that clarity of, we're going to talk about this then, and framing that so they're not,
or giving yourself that clarity if you're doing it yourself, right?
Put it on the calendar for yourself as well. I think it's great. Coming back to the success side of things as well, which I wanted to make a point that's suddenly gone through the back of my head. So hopefully, as I'm talking, I can bring it back to the top. Here's what I was going to say. I think it's important, particularly when I think about this, I think about the pro athletes actually that I coach. Sometimes some of the pros that I was coaching would win a race and it wasn't a great performance. So actually, it's like, no, and so thinking about the athlete, we talked about how it's not tied to outcomes. I had many pro athletes that won races that I was very, very critical of them afterwards. They didn't do everything under their control and to their success, and they won despite themselves in many ways. And I was a very collaborative, supportive coach. I'm not a dictator per se, but we did. And at other times, we had athletes where they didn't win. They had a really tough day. And in fact, I just talked about Chelsea. I wasn't coaching her when she did that, but where it's like, this was fantastic. This is something that's going to actually be a catalyst for growth. And that's sort of part of the reason I think reflection is so important. I also think it's part of the reason that giving yourself a bit of space afterwards to go through those emotions so that you can actually come to clarity and look back objectively is how you march forward and grow.
And the other thing, just to tie it back to the earlier conversation about tapering, your race day or your your post-race analysis, not the hot take, but when you actually are breaking everything down, that's not just how you did on race day. That's also the week before, the 2 weeks before, and pulling
Yeah.
anything that you changed in that taper to help you identify, okay, I really responded to this thing that we did, or I'd never done extra carbohydrates for 48 hours ahead of time, and that did or did not work, right? You want to make sure you're looking at that with a nice scope as opposed to just being, I crushed it on race day.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, next time I race, I have forgotten it all, and I'm back to the
Well,
random
yeah,
side
but
of it again.
that's a great point as well,
Yeah.
right? So you always want to make sure you're taking notes. That's something.